Roleplay Retcon, we remake famously disappointing movies using comedy, hindsight, and tabletop RPGs. We take a second pass at guilty pleasures like Batman and Robin or Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and even some controversial favorites like Twilight.
But I love those movies.
We do too. At the end of each series, we compare our vision to the original films because why the not?
I can't wait to listen to Roleplay Retcon on nerdsmith.org or wherever you get podcasts.
I'm gonna listen to it before you do.
Monsters.
Savages.
Abominations.
80 years ago, the great kingdoms of the land above drove all monstrous creatures from their domain and claimed the surface of the world for themselves. Those that escaped the slaughter were driven deep underground, banished forever into the lightless reaches of the dark below. In this endless labyrinth of stone tunnels and caverns, their descendants still fight to survive.
And she's going to pretend that she's a fan of this dragon. She's gonna say, oh my gosh, I have heard of you before.
Really?
And I am just so happy that you're actually real and we actually found you. We've been looking for you.
That's flattering.
I look at Onera and salute and then go back into the shadows.
Yeah, sure, make it look so easy.
I will.
She gets angry and she just finds Dire and just tries to attack them with it.
One of this creature's massive clawed hands grabs hold of your wrist.
The cub yet has strength.
Come explore a world where sunlight is a myth and monsters may become heroes. Discover new episodes of The Land Above every Monday on nerdsmith.org, Podbean, or wherever you download podcasts. A proud member of the Nerdsmith Network.
Hello, everybody. Ignore the Hero Forge behind the curtain. I'm totally not doing anything right now. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Shenanigoons, that kind of sort of fairy tale campaign where you contribute to the chaos. We have even more chaos today because, as you can see, we are doing something a little different today. Well, not different if you've been to our shows before, but certainly different if you're looking for just straight up D&D, because we're doing something interesting today. We are recapping and just kind of answering your questions and just sort of setting the stage for our finale next week. And holy moly, it's our finale next week.
Yep. Just for this season. Just
for the season. I know. And I'll be honest, everybody, I got a little misty yesterday if you were in Discover. Thinking about it and talking about it. Oh, hi, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
Mwah. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do a little bit of recapping tonight and answering Q&A questions, which Tessa and Chris are both in the chat, which I will be popping them in every so often, so that they can see, that you can see their discussion points. And if they want to answer questions, please go ahead and do that. Don't have nobody.
You should go rectify that.
Okay.
We can talk about our sponsors.
Yes, please talk about our sponsors while I go get water, because it's important, and water is very important, and I love you all. Okay, bye-bye. I'll be right back.
So, first off, we're sponsored by World Anvil, and you can see on the backdrop that Ange has on the stream our World of Vale World Anvil page, which has a lot of really, really neat articles, like the one that a lot of work went into by Ange and Heather and Tessa on the gods of Vale. Very extensive. Yeah, so it's a great website. It's a world building tool for aspiring DMs and authors and world builders and all sorts of stuff. Hey, there it is. Yay! Yeah, you're supposed to be getting water, Angela. Anyway, check them out. World Anvil is great. They do good stuff, and they make good products, and they're good people. So check them out. I didn't rehearse that at all, and it shows. I'm sorry.
I think you did fine. Our other sponsor, well, actually, we have two others for anyone who hasn't heard of them before or hasn't heard Ange and Tess wax poetic on the beautiful dice, is Die Hard Dice. You can go to dieharddice.com to look at all of the amazing different dice they have. Let me see. Actually, I have an example one I can show you. They have beautiful metal dice.
Gorgeous. And I think this month's is the, as we can see in chat, is the Issa Sunbeam. It's like you put a lemon wedge inside of a block of ice and then started rolling it to play D&D. Or other polyhedral-based games.
But less messy.
Yeah, much less messy. It doesn't melt. It might melt your characters if they fail that dex save, because acid pits suck. But yeah, Issa Sunbeam, it's a gorgeous set. Yeah, use the code. Angela, I'm not good at this. I didn't rehearse. It's terrible.
Use code NERDSMITH22 to get 10% off your first purchase or future purchase. And don't forget to check out the Issa Sunbeam as well as all the other amazing dice on Die Hard Dice. We didn't talk about Hero Forge yet. Go.
Well, how often have we talked about it?
Yeah,
you know what? To be fair, plenty of people like on Critical Role and stuff. When someone who normally does the ad roll, it has to like someone who doesn't normally do it has to do it. They don't know what they're doing either. It's fine.
I don't have the muscle memory. Is the thing. Is like, yes, I've received the message and I've internalized the message, but I cannot vocalize the message.
Understood.
Mm-hmm. I have the benefit of doing it on Geek Thyself for the mid-roll. We didn't talk about Hero Forge yet.
Hero Forge, you know them, you love them. They make amazing miniatures and have this incredible tool for making minis, of which I'm totally not doing right now.
Yeah, not obsessed at all.
obsessed. I would like to say I'm a very healthy customer. But
Is that
why
what
don't?
we're calling it?
Yeah, sure. But let's look at some of the outfits that just came out today because it's Tuesday. Today they just released the Tomb-bound set, which is a bunch of weary, musty, old armor. So there's lots of chips and stuff in them. It's super badass. If I apply, we'll just do a random, yeah, so you can see the texture. So there's one set. That's the knight outfit. Even knights of renown are not immune to the chilling grip of undeath. And then we have the tomb-bound soldier outfit. The smell of must and decay clings strongly to the soldier's death would not release. And so it's all like chipped and cool. God, these boots. I'm freaking loving these boots.
Look at them boots.
Look at them boots. It's good shit. It looks like a cat scratched the boots. Little kitten claws. Some
Or a
murder
puppy
mittens
chewed on
got to him. What'd you say?
Or a puppy chewed on him.
Or a puppy chewed on him. I'm assuming that there used to be a spike on this helmet, and now it doesn't have one. Or a feather, maybe, like one of those banner sort of thingies. Also, I'm sorry, this person should be undead. If we're gonna say they're undead.
Well, maybe they found.
Oh God,
maybe
there's
they found
eyeballs.
the helmet on the battlefield.
God, there was eyeballs.
Secondhand.
I hated it. Okay, that's pretty good. That's a good one. And then there's also some new gear, including, let's see, there's a cruel curved sword. Basically, there's a bunch of etched weapons that are super badass. Oh my gosh, Chris, it's a Chris blade. It's just for you. Look at that. It's even spelled right.
Nice.
Curvy blade. And then, yeah, the rotted bone dagger. That looks fucking rad. Look at that. And this is including some of the other stuff that they released lately, which included some spikes and some axes. And, oh, there's a crumbling axe, a weathered spear, a decaying hand axe. Yeah, so there's just a bunch of really cool textured items, including some shields that are totally busted. Those are really cool. Because God knows you don't just have a pristine shield. So yeah, these can be used for obviously your undead characters, but also plenty of characters who have seen some battle. So, please enjoy. And that is Hero Forge. If you use the link that we put in the chat, you'll be letting them know that we sent you. And please consider this is stuff you would only have access to right now with the Pro subscription, because you get access to some pretty nifty preview features. Anything that comes out new, you get to see. So, oh, there's a map on the screen. So weird. I have been doing some tinkering with the Veil page, and we're going to be using it tonight while we talk, while we recap and answer questions, because it'll give me an excuse to fill it out. But also, you get a chance to take a look and see what we're talking about, where we're talking about when we mention certain locations. For the most part, I think the vast majority of the locations you all have been are on the 2 maps that I have, but there will be some that are, you know, little mini dimensions or, you know, who knows where kind of stuff. So, let's, God, thank you, Retsev. If you don't want to prolong your wait on these new Hero Forge details, please support them and subscribe for access. Yes, it's very good. So, let's chat. Well, real quick, our World Anvil, one really nice thing that I just updated on it is that when you go to these categories, you'll see a big list of all the articles that are available to read. But more importantly, when you go into one of these articles, you will see at the top that there are now little breadcrumbs, so you can walk your way back through the previous article you were in. It's just easier. It's just easier to navigate, and And the styling was specifically from a member of the World Anvil community. You can go onto their Discord, and there's a lot of troubleshooting. And if you know anything about style sheets or HTML, and you're at a guild member access, you can do a lot of customization on your page and make it look exactly how you want it to look. So right now I have it really kind of bare bones, but when you first get here, you have all your categories and you have the main map of Vale to take a look at. So let's talk our world. The world of Shenanigoons is on a very specific island. When you go down to the world of Vale, you'll find Cronus down here. It's a little island between all the big continents, and Cronus is an island with a very unusual bit of, let's call it, chain of custody, as it were. Let's go here. Let's go to... I'll do a real quick overview of what you guys know so far about the world. The island of Thuria was a place that had... It was a pretty standard run-of-the-mill kind of fantasy island. It's a small continent that had lots of different people from different walks of life. There's a mountain range down the center, which I realize I never named. There was also a bunch of interesting places where the veil between the Feywild and the material world was a little thin. Namely, in the expression of the Feygrow tree, which is a beautiful, huge banyan tree that is literally floating over the surface of the island, slowly making its way meandering across the north side of the mountain range right there. The other sort of hyper mystical point of reference for this place was the city or the region of Derakoi, which is full of a crystalline forest. Crystals, in my storytelling, tend to be directly associated with like the elemental planes. So it's that like hardened, manifested energy of the elements. Usually you'll have my Genasi tend to have crystalline growths on them that are the color of whatever the essence of the plane is that they descend from. So that's typically my thing. So Derakoi is a place that has a bunch of arcane energy to it and is also home to the temples of the arcane and the knowledge gods. They kind of mix and match a little bit there, but we only dealt with the knowledge gods, really. There's a bunch of other places in here that we never went to, which I think, not to spoil too much too early, but by the end of our campaign, I do intend to sort of present the world as something that another story could happen in. Because there's plenty of things in here that I named and then never really fleshed out. I just named them because they sounded cool. So what happened in this island was that beneath it is something called the Hearth of Bedlam. Hearth meaning like a fireplace or a brazier, a source of. And it's a. Did I just take Bed of Chaos and run it through a thesaurus? Maybe. Some of you might know
don't
that.
Think I didn't see that.
Some of you might know that I get a lot of my inspiration from the Soulsborne series. So Dark Souls and Bloodborne and now Elden Ring, which, boy, do I have thoughts about how to use stuff in Elden Ring. Land of Fallen Giants. Anyway. So, I have a lot of stuff that kind of borrows from that. I just really love the way that the world building is layered in the Dark Souls series. So, the Hearth of Bedlam is a churning, basically volcanic mass of chaos energy beneath the island. And it is it's a little bit of a mystery about how it got there or what it is, but it has grown steadily over the centuries, over the millennia, to the point where it became a threat, an existential threat to the people who live in Thuria. Around that time, a an army or a expedition force from Mechanus, which is a plane of pure order, as a clockwork plane, full of robots, basically. They came to the material world, they felt this surge of chaos energy, and they came here and said, oh, this isn't good. No. You can't have the opposite of us. That's too much. We're gonna try to balance the scales. And by balance the scales, they overcorrected, of course, and decided to colonize, I guess. And what they ended up doing was they this is what happened. So this is the historic map of Thuria. And then there started being these fractures, these little places where chaos started creeping up over the land. And this was around when Mechanus showed up. If you can see here on the bottom, Nereda became the ruins of Nereda. A whole mess of volcanoes erupted in the south part here. And there are now these giant chunks of like crater that goes down into the earth. As well as what we're calling the focal fracture, which is the most like potent centralized source of it. So the Mechanus Authority showed up and planted cities on top of each of these little outlets where the chaos energy was coming out. And they called them chronograms. And they are these cookie cutter clockwork cities that all exist in the world. And they are full of people who, as you all have discovered over the course of your story, were sort of herded in. And it was decided that the best way to combat chaos was to create order, and one of the things that can create order is everyone working together for a common goal. And that is what these little metropolises are. They're just big factory and working places creating these urban epicenters where order can exist to some degree. If anyone's been to a big city, they know order's not like the whole thing of it. Just because you're on a grid system doesn't mean you're a orderly place. So our story begins with our heroes, a group of children who all show up one day to Chronogram 4, specifically to a reacclimation center, because you all got in trouble for some reason, individual reasons. These misfits all got together, and you know what occurs to me? We never did kid versions in Hero Forge, and I will have to do that. We'll have to do kid versions.
Beza wouldn't look any different.
I know. It'll be great.
I have ideas.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see if you want to make a baby Harland. So you all got in trouble, and you ended up at the chronogram, and through a few weird mishaps through the restricted section, found yourselves stuck in a book. Yes, with puddles. Mike is right. You have to have puddles with you. It's important.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know that I have the capability to make puddles.
I think you can at least put a duck in his hand. Just put a duck in his hand. It's fine. You could make 2 Harlands, put a duck in his hand, and put a turtle in his hand, and just like line them up. Gotta love being able to layer. Do it.
Yes. After the show.
After the show. So let's talk about your characters. We have some questions. Let me look at the questions and see if I can put them in some sort of chronological order. Oh, this is great. Lane asked the players, did you have any specific inspiration behind making your character? Why did you make the character you made? Feel free to chime in if you have an answer.
Okay, I actually have an easy answer for this one. So, between season 2 of Shenanigoons and this season of Shenanigoons, one of the things we did is that we ran a very, very short campaign in a hunter campaign that went on just for a few sessions, but
it's Urban Shadows.
Urban Shadows, sorry, thank you.
Okay.
It was an Urban Shadows campaign that was set in Cinderhaven, which is a city that we used in Countless Heroes, the very first Vale show. Well, that and Goonies. And the character I was playing in there, I decided I wanted to play a Goa, so I was looking online at pictures, and I found this one of like a little kid, basically kid white statue from a online comic called Hushabye Valley. And I was like, oh my god, Lolita Goa that's a fighter? Yes, I have to do that now. And basically Beza was born from that, and then I carried her over into Goonies because I had fun with the character. I changed her a little bit. The original version of Beza was kind of like Batman in small child form. And Beza's not quite that, but that was the initial inspiration.
Red Sap. You gonna apologize? You gonna apologize to us for that?
No, they're not.
No? Okay. Fine. Fine. It's fine. Go ahead, Kyle.
As far as Harland is concerned, my decision to make characters comes from a what haven't I done before? Because after having, played through, second edition and third edition and didn't touch fourth edition, I've played a lot of characters, but I tended to gravitate towards paladins because I had a one-track mind.
Power gamer.
And mostly because I was still living at home, and my parents were very much of the D&D is not a healthy pastime. So
what if I play a Holy Knight?
Yeah, so I did.
Is that okay?
I was just like, I'm fighting for God. Anyway.
Masking your D&D through your Christianity. It's not.
Hey. So I'm much better. I'm healthier now. I've moved past that, but I'd never played. I'd played sorcerers before, but never really played something like Harland. So it was just some opportunity to explore that, and never played a Furbolg, so I thought that'd be kind of cool. Not that that's come up too much, but it's as far as like the lore of Furbolgs are concerned, but it's something different. And as far as like the character is concerned, like the actual like affectations, is because Ange and I were just like shooting the shit one day, and they're like, wouldn't it be funny if Foghorn Leghorn was a D&D character?
I do declare.
I'm
just a. What do we say? Now I'm just a poor country Furbolg.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
Foghorn Leghorn is the inspiration for Harland.
I forgot about that, but yeah.
Yep. Uh-huh.
That's the only reason I could do a Harland voice when Beza and Harland switched bodies. I just Foghorn Leghorn, and then did the best I could.
Yeah.
I just remembered this. The original concept for Beza for this campaign was that she was going to be part of Oliet's Mean Girl gang.
That's right, I forgot.
And the original concept was she was going to be like Oliet's, not exactly sidekick.
You were going to be Regina. You were going to be Gretchen Wieners.
The bouncer. Like she was going to be like the protection, the muscle for Oliet's group of Mean Girl gang situation. That obviously changed as the sessions went on, but that was the original idea.
Tessa and Chris, feel free to type in your answers if you want.
Tessa did.
Oh, Tessa did?
Mm-hmm.
So, we got Tessa. Tessa says, I really wanted to explore the Nacosta more, and I wanted to play around with the idea of a goblin who was not a goblin, not having followed Critical Role Season 2 until it was too late. There are so many things that we've done that Critical Role did like 6 months before we did, and we didn't know that they were going to do it, so it's whatever. My first long-term character was a druid, and I wanted to play another, but with another subclass. I like strange affectations, and so the idea of a character who made friends with inanimate objects. So then the mushroom thing came from there. We love our mushroom lady. The Nacosta are so interesting, and I'm really excited to continue bringing them into games. The idea of... I do think that we've done a good job with this season of doing a lot of exploration into their origin, or at least into the original concept of the origin of the Nacosta. The idea that
at
they
least
came
in
from
this reality.
Yes, the idea of the Baba Yaga. Tessa and I are going to be working on the Nacosta and having a character sheet set up for them that includes how to include them in your campaign. And there is no reason why the Baba Yaga has to be the origin of the Nacosta. So we like this idea of opening it up to being any number of supernatural or potentially just fae influence. So we're really excited about opening up the Nacosta as a, they're kind of a witchy class of character, or at least that's kind of the flavor that we gave them. But it also is it's got outsider built into it, The idea that you don't quite fit in with your people or your ancestry. It doesn't really, you lose some of the abilities of your ancestry in favor of these other ones, these strange ones that are not something you inherited from any of your parents or your ancestors. We thought it was interesting.
And for me, like the Nacosta, it's a, tieflings in lore can be born to anybody, right?
Right, and there's abyssal ones, there's abyssal ones too, the ones that are come from demons instead of devils.
Yeah.
And they've become much more. I don't want to call it mainstream, but they've become much more.
Homosexual?
Accepted. Like they've become much more pervasive within a lot of lore that I've seen.
Sure.
And the Nacosta bring back that little bit of like otherness, like that it's almost like you're having to fight against the expectations of what your parent culture is, and it kind of means that you can play it in a whatever way you want type of thing. So you can be any like you can be reskinned as anything and be a Nacosta and like fight against whatever, or like be in line with it, or try to fit in, or try to find your own path. It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Well, and with the idea that they're rare, you can do a number of things with them in the world too. I have in my back pocket at some point the idea of a little pocket of Nacosta. The idea of them being there was some semblance of there is a slight Roma influence to the Nacosta as well, since we're doing a lot of like mysticism and fortune telling. There was a lot of that kind of performative sense of like perceptions of the Roma. But I really dig this idea, and this might be because I like the movie Chocolat a lot, but I really liked the idea of a group, a community that travels on canal boats. Like, they live on canal boats. It's basically like a big RV train, or carriages, or any sort of thing like that, that they're a small group of Nacosta that have found each other, and they travel around. It's also very Name of the Wind inspired. With the main
materials.
Yeah, with the main character in the main character in the name of the Kingkiller Chronicle. That's where his family came from. They were traveling bards and performers, and they were in this small little group of nomadic performers. So yeah.
We got Chris's response.
Yeah, I got that.
So
let me pull up Chris's thing.
Similarly to Kyle, hey, I wanted to go really outside of the box for myself with Oliette. I play a lot of druids and clerics, and I wanted to try a bard for the first time.
Oh.
I also typically play either dark stone cold assholes or bright do good sweet beans, and I thought, let's try an insufferable brat. I've never played a character like her, and I might never again. That said, I do really love Oliette. And she says, I was pretty nervous the first few weeks because I was like, Oliette is even annoying to me. I feel so bad for the other players. Why have I done this?
No,
I'm so bad.
I love Oliette.
But Chris, you had done this really interesting thing. And I will say, anybody who has only just joined the group, have only just joined the campaign, or we were already in our stride, go back and watch the first few episodes. Because young Oliette is a completely different shade of character. She's adorable. She's, well, not even that. She's like a know-it-all. She's very Hermione Granger. She's a bit of a know-it-all, kind of a people pleaser, really wants people to like her. So she's like jumping on like, I'll teach you how to read. As we realize that 2 of our group did not know how to read in the library. But this idea that Chris came to me with, that it was a mean girl that didn't start as a mean girl. And then her story, at least initially, the story was going to, or her character arc was going to be maybe unlearning it a little bit. Like realizing what she had become and trying to like walk it back a bit.
And it started as like almost a defense mechanism.
Right. The idea of like protecting herself from judgment by being the baddest bitch in the room. And that's where it did start. I think we laid the groundwork pretty well for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, I do want to. Poor, no.
She didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, but she was a bitch, so fuck off.
She was awful.
She can fuck off. The idea, this is a fun dovetail into the unofficial 5th PC. The idea with Verlaine. When I told them I was going to have a 5th member of their party, who was also a friend of theirs from the beginning when they're children, I believe one of the first things out of Chris's mouth in response to that was, "Can I have a crush on them?"
Yes.
And so what ended up happening was I went, okay, Chris, dealer's choice. What kind of character do you want? And they ended up saying, we ended up settling on Changeling as a character type. And from there, it just spiraled a little. Let's see. I will say, if we have another one that kind of plays into this. Somebody asked me if I had... Okay, so I have a few, but the question for me that Lane gave was, what encounter or session or plot point has been your favorite to plan for? I think that one of my favorites to actually, like, in anticipation of it happening, was the fight with Verlaine in Chanterelle. That was a big moment that I knew was coming, and I was so excited to get to it, because that was I'll be honest, no, I think I mentioned this in the last save point. Verlaine was not supposed to be with you guys. He was not supposed to be in your party for a while. I had this whole plan in my head that you guys were gonna have this big conflict with Verlaine. He was gonna fuck you guys up, and then after that, you were gonna. I'm actually kind of proud of this plot, but it didn't happen. In some other universe, this happened. That Verlaine was gonna just go on a tear across the countryside, and you were going to hear about what he was doing as you traveled around. You were going to hear about this like guy with one eye, and me giving him one eye was my way of avoiding the you guys don't trust a single NPC that I throw at you because you think it's just Verlaine.
When you have a changeling villain, come on.
Right. So I wanted to make sure that you had some level of like trust in me, but also I thought it would be interesting for a changeling who fundamentally could not disappear into the roles that they were playing, at least initially. But then also, yes, as Chris reminds us, I did manage to sneak one in by just saying that he had some hair over his eye. That was pretty funny. But the idea was that you were going to follow Verlaine. Exactly. I was not trying to be subtle. And the idea would be then eventually, as you were hearing about all these stories, you would hear that something had happened. Like this guy with one eye had saved a town. And you would start to see through the lens of these stories you were hearing from the townsfolk that he was fighting back against the control that the Lord of Tales had to give you some semblance of hope that there was a way to reach out to him. And then you would have had another chance to deal with Verlaine. Kyle, you went away, and you can't let your thing go away. You gotta turn off your camera. Okay. That's cool too.
Did we lose a Kyle?
I think he might have just turned his camera off. It's okay. Let me turn off the screen and we'll just have the screen be away until he gets back. Boop. Nope, that doesn't work. Hold on 1 second, everybody. Window capture. Gonna do. Now you can change your. Now you can change your name on the camera. Let me.
Yeah, this is not Kay.
Okay. Come on, which of the Zoom screens? Let's go. Zoom. Nope, we're gonna do. Sorry, everybody. Hold on 1 second. Ignore me. I'm gonna do a display. Let's do that. Not that. Ignore that. Too many. That's too many of us. There we go. There's just 2 of us now. Okay, so, let's get us back on track here. Anyway, so that was the initial idea with Verlaine, was that you guys were gonna experience, like, I wanted you all to have your own storyline. I didn't want my DMPC. Oh, welcome back, Kyle.
Hi, yeah, sorry, internet dropped.
Oh, gotcha. That's okay. It happens. Didn't want the DMPC to take over the storyline. So I was gonna take him out of the. I was gonna take him out. So you could just handle it yourselves. And then you'd have these little glimpses. But well, the best laid plans and all that. Not to say that I'm obsessed. Oh god, we're not a dating game. Go away. Trying to find the screen. I lost the screen. Oh, there we go. Save point. There we go. We're back.
Tech gremlins.
It happens. Oh, and then I gotta switch you guys because you're in the wrong spot. There we go.
They chewed through your internet cable.
It just looks so tasty.
So yeah, the most excited I was initially was the bringing in Verlaine to have that moment of conflict.
I mean, there was conflict.
Oh, it was great. Honestly, the slap heard around the world too. That was a really good moment, actually. Speaking of, sorry, I'm snacking. What? Another question.
We had a highlighted question in chat too.
Oh, did we? Let me see.
Yeah, from Alora. If you didn't name your character what you named them, what would have been their name?
Yeah, did you have any alternatives that you remember?
I didn't.
Okay.
For me, naming, I usually just go on like the fantasy name generator and I keep refreshing until I get something that I kind of like. And then sometimes I'll mash 2 of them together to come up with whatever I'm going to use. This time, Beza is actually, I looked up names that mean white in other languages. Beza is actually Turkish. It's a Turkish name for white or pale. And then
neat.
She never uses it really, but technically Beza's last name is Tonto, which is a Japanese short sword.
Very nice. That's very fun.
So her name is very literal. She's a white short sword.
I adore that.
I dig that.
Did I delete my... It's fine. Window capture. Oh yeah, I did. I guess I did. Sorry. I'm gonna do
Fun fact with Harland. I chose Harland because I thought it'd be hilarious to have a character that couldn't spell his own name. So literally, like he is Harland, but he couldn't spell it, and so his parents just changed it for him because it was like the one word that he knew how to spell. That's why I settled on that, because like it's
hilarious.
Yeah,
I love him. Yeah, we had a bunch of names. I had a bunch of names for Villain, but yeah, I settled on that. And most of the names I never had to think about because they were mostly user generated.
Very true.
Let's see. We had
location.
What do you mean?
A question from Mouse from earlier.
Okay.
So, where's a location you would have liked to visit that we have not been able to, or would have liked to spend more time in this campaign?
Fair enough. And on that note, let's go to the map. Yeah, were there any places in that we talked about that we either didn't get to or didn't get to be there very often that that you wish we could have explored a little more? I mean, there's stuff all over the map, obviously, that we didn't actually even talk about. Things that I sort of mysteriously named.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely several places we didn't actually even get to. I'm trying to look at the map and see which ones.
Tessa's got a point. Fagro, doing a little bit more in the tree would have been fun.
I would agree. I think the chaos pools, or whatever they are too, would have been interesting to explore more, especially since we're already being affected by chaos so much. Like, we could have gone balls to the walls if we wanted and done like a discount wheel of causality night for people to cause even more chaos and just stir up all sorts of fun with it. But
so weird. Can't imagine. Can't imagine what's happening next week. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah. It's okay. I keep things in my back pocket because Kyle is devious. For in case events happen.
I don't expect anything less from you, Kyle. Deviousness.
Yeah, I think the ruins of Nareda, like once that popped up, I was like, ruins. That means that there was something there, but now it's established enough that it is not that thing anymore. That it is known as the ruins of Nareda. Like, just being able to explore that, because I'm a giant history nerd. So like, being able to like look into that and see what happened to these people, or is it just like a Pompeii type situation?
Sure.
It just got wiped off the map.
Nareda is actually where Chronogram 9 is located. So there was a city slapped on top of the city, which means there would be some interesting things beneath it, probably.
It's like the Parisian catacombs, right? The sewer system is gonna go through.
Okay, I'm gonna give everybody exactly what they want. And I'm gonna let Whiskey have a cheese treat.
Whiskey doodle.
None of you can see this on stream. This is just for the players, apparently.
You can see his little head poking up above your name tag, just barely.
And his tiny glowing eyes.
Okay. There's a ghost dog. Good job. We got this thing here. Let's see. I think Oliette might have liked to spend more time with the Babas in the Feywild, or she would have liked to have delved deeper into Mechanus' surveillance systems and that kind of thing. Yeah, that was 100% a path you guys could have taken if you'd really gotten that stuck in your craw. So, that makes me happy. Kyle, if you haven't, you really should check out the lore for Breath of the Wild and the ruined villages. You probably would have loved it.
I do have a copy of Hyrule Historia, which of course doesn't cover Breath of the Wild.
No.
There is there's a new one that came out that does. So yes, Alora, absolutely. If you have resources, I'll take them.
So, let's see. So anyway, we talked. I'm gonna grab what we haven't done yet. Retsev, had a very good one. I'm curious about this. What is something? This is from Mouse. What was something that really threw you for a loop? A twist you legit did not see coming. Was there anything like that? I don't even know. I can't judge because I knew everything. I will say this. Doesn't have to be something from me. Could be something from one of you. Because you all threw me some curveballs.
Honestly, for myself, the entire relationship with Oliette and Harland, like, just came out of left field. Just showed up. Just showed up and was like, well, that's I gotta decide what's going on there. And Chris and I both were very much on a level of like, hey, like, we want to make sure that we're doing this right, that we're not gonna, like, you know, if this is an avenue that we want to take our characters down, we both want to be on the same page with it. And so it was I've never had to do that before. Where Tessa and I in season 1 with Bonnie and Merrick, it was very like it was just like this sweet, charming, like, thing that was just like and Tessa and I, having known each other for a while, like,
yeah, it was a very comfortable thing to slip into.
Right. And with Chris, because, like, not having ever played a game with Chris before, I wanted to make sure it was like, hey, like, I don't want to cross any lines. I want to make sure
new player comes in. It's like, hey, you don't want to be creepy about it.
Romance the character. Why not? It's just creepy, and I didn't want to be that creep. So, yeah, that was a big decision point for me of like, which avenue do I want to take this character down?
Yeah. We have two. Oh, Kyle is definitely an extremely courteous graph paper boyfriend, says Tessa. Chris said, the kiss, Heather summoning my grandfather onto the game board.
Wasn't intentional. That was when we were looking at, like, the memory walls, and I forget what I rolled, but it was really high.
It was like a nat 20. You probably rolled a nat 20, to be honest.
Insane. And then Ange was like, oh yeah, you see this. And I was like,
I mean, it was always in there, but... Oh, Chris, I've never been so surprised by a PC romance either, but it was perfectly comfortable and fun. Oh, I'm so happy. It also helped that there was, like, this vibe of, like, a bunch of the characters were sort of all attracted to each other. But there wasn't, like, a thing, but at the same time, they're all like, I'll allow it.
Yeah, and the outlier was Beza, who's like, what are you doing?
Making goo-goo eyes at each other and eating. What the hell?
I mean, she didn't care, but she was like, eh. And then Manny started hitting her, and she's like, the fuck is this?
I think we've determined that Beza is very much aromantic. Uninterested, or at least extremely uninterested in Manny.
I think she would maybe consider with some people, but you have to keep in mind, she also technically is like 10.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But remember, there are lots of species that's not really a thing in terms of, like, their actual lifespans. Yes, and Chris makes a good point. Manny is not really a good bar of measure, and Alora says justice for Manny 2022. As the creator of Manny O'Kin, I think Alora is a little bit biased.
I do have to say, I think Manny O'Kin is probably one of the things that threw me for a loop the most.
That's a really good one. That's a good question.
Because Ange and anyone else who's played with me in a lot of games knows that, like, if a romance happens for my character, depending on the character, I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. But it's never my focus in a game. Like, it's never something I actively seek out.
Which is so, like, I just think off the top of my head, the romances that I have witnessed Heather's characters have. Lughead lacrosse guy. No, squash player.
That did not last
And
long.
then
It
he
was
got
too stupid.
squashed.
I couldn't deal with it.
Musclehead snake guy with snakes with pythons for
Sam.
arms.
She went on one date with.
And I think Manny. I think those are the only three, really, that that I specifically remember.
Yeah. Well, especially for streamed games. Soxy didn't have one at all.
Oh yeah, Alora, feel free to find Manny's backstory and pin it for me. I'll read it. Manny totally had a backstory. If you had actually latched onto him as a character in the least, he would have had a whole backstory.
That's fine. Vampire Daddy Keel. It's
fine.
Vampire Daddy Zakion.
Move on.
Is the name, and that's a home game. That's not a stream game. And that wasn't intentional either. My character accidentally impressed him by agreeing with him that when you capture people who might be invading your territory, you should tie them up until you talk to them. The other characters are all goody two-shoes, and they were like, no, that's so mean. Why would you do that? And my character's like, the fuck are you talking about? Yes, you tie them up.
Thank you, Laura. Let's see. So Alora pinned the messages for me. So he has a whole backstory. His name is Maniokin III. The reason that he has the third in his name is that he was made to look like the maker's grandchild, who sadly passed away, named Manny. After his maker passed, Manny started to take people's wallets and watches and things to pay for and use material to pay for enough air shale to have someone make a Goa like his maker, Maniokin the First.
No, I think he told us that, or at least he told us part of that. I don't remember if he told us he wanted to make a Goa that looked like his grandfather.
His maker.
But he did tell us that he was trying to get enough air shell to make another Goa. And he was very excited when he found Beza.
Yep. And sad. Tessa has a couple things. Tessa said the kittens. That the kittens were completely unexpected, and they were the best surprise ever.
I could agree with that too.
They much like actual kittens that show up and adopt you. Like they just stuck, and it was like,
Yeah.
I guess they're part of the team now.
I was prepared to leave them with Pimble, and y'all wanted to bring them with you, and I was like, okay, sounds good. And the unending cavalcade of NPCs that followed you around began. Yep. But yeah. I think the kittens were absolutely delightful. I loved them so much. It was originally a suggestion by Mouse. Nickit was the only one. And then I created two of them because I thought a smash and grab made more sense. As a way of I thought a misdirect would be a fun way to do it, so I came up with Toshi.
And you also referenced who's it? Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer?
Yeah,
like,
they were a little like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were a little crime duo.
Now that's something stuck in my head.
You're welcome. Let's see. Another one that Tessa put up was did not expect to fall in love with Villain.
Yeah. Especially considering originally the plan was for him to be Oliette's love interest.
Yeah, we had played around with that a little bit. I mean, obviously,
that threw a bunch of us for a loop, I think.
Well, obviously, and was not expecting Paru to have a little family at all. Yeah, it was really sweet. Yeah, honestly, in that scene or in that episode where the kittens first showed up, I adored it is one of the best clips we have, I think, from this season, was Daisy popping into Tessa's screen, and it was so perfect. It perfectly caught what I was trying to figure out was how to get them. I literally was just gonna have them peek their head through, and then Daisy just did it. I was like, no, that's exactly what it looks like. Let's see. What about this was a I forget what I was gonna pull back from Heather, but I'm curious. What was the most memorable wild magic that happened? What was your favorite thing that happened? Anything. It doesn't even have to be a Wheel of Causality. It could be one of Harlan's wild magics or anything.
Switching places with Harlan.
The first thing that happened was switching places with Harlan. Yep.
That
was very good.
I think it was the very first time we had to spin on. Well, no.
The very combat. It was first combat.
But it was our very first combat. Our first real combat, because we'd done like little mini, like, you're training and you're fighting, describe it to me kind of things. But our first actual combat, where we have to roll dice and know our moves and hit things, the fighter and the sorcerer switch bodies.
And we're like literally had to go into Beyond and like look at each other's character sheets, and we can't change anything because we don't have like edit rights. So it's just like, I'm just okay. I guess I learned how to do this now. Like,
when Beza took a hit, when Harlan took a hit in Beza's body, I had to go in and change my character sheet for my hit points because Kyle couldn't. And the spells, I didn't know until I looked at Kyle's character sheet that he changed the names on all of Harlan's spells and customized them.
I did.
Like, one of the spells...
Hold on. I'll have to pull it up.
I
feel like I should pull it up.
Stop it.
Chaos Bolt.
Chaos Bolt was stop it. So, like, at one point, I would just rolled with it, and I had Beza say something like, "Nah, I told you to stop it." And then I cast the spell.
Hold on, let me grab Harlan's character sheet so we can all enjoy this. Have you continued doing it?
I'm sorry?
Had you continued doing it?
No. I moved away from that as soon as he learned how to read.
Oh, so we have, look at that, detect magic, masquerade, disguise self.
Masquerade, yeah.
Let's see. Bumbershoot?
It's Featherfall.
Whirligig, Dust Devil, I love that. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. I was like dying laughing at Kyle's spell list, and also trying to cast the spell and having to remember to change the name.
And the weapon that he has had the entire campaign is Shovel. And it's spelled SHUVL.
Yep.
I remember what my question was going to be. Not the wild magic. What NPC, Heather already sort of answered this, but what NPC that the audience created was the most like, what the fuck? Like, threw you for a loop kind of offering? You can just say NPC and I'll let you know if it was one that I made or one that they made.
Oh, Tessa's comment is a good one. Another thing that threw us for a loop was Beza getting dragged to visit gods twice.
Yes.
Twice!
Yep. That's very good.
NPC that was created, I think, because I was able to have so much interaction with Puddles, I have to go with Puddles.
Mike really knows how to sneak in there with the good ones.
Mike knows how to twist that knife. Like, he'll just sneak in there and just be like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing? Gotcha." Mike is a Tonberry.
Yep.
Daisy. Tessa, you're biased. What about
Jesus, Mike.
Love you, buddy.
What about favorite villain?
Ooh.
Or enemy? Anything. It could be an opponent or an actual bad guy.
Like, favorite in that we want to kill them the most, or like favorite in that they're like
memorable,
like the character?
The one you enjoy the most from a bad guy or a character perspective.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go with Queen of the Trade. Personally. And I think I see in the chat, Tessa agrees with me. Yeah, because you love to hate her. Like, she's badass, but then also you find out more and you kind of feel bad for her because she's clearly being used by the person she was literally created to love. Like, it's written in her very existence that she's supposed to love this man, who's a dick.
Lord of the Tales is such a fuckboy.
He's such an ass.
What about you, Kyle?
It's
You looked
literally like, oh, my first girlfriend didn't work. Let's wipe her and start anew.
What about Kyle?
So if we go for like long term, I saw the cat turn coming from a mile away, but like having Cat be like, you know, in the fort where we saw her the first time, I was just like, oh, this is gonna be good. Like that hit me in the stomach, and that was really good. But I have to say that I'm biased because it came to me in a flash of inspiration was the jelly wizard. The wizard that had that was inside the gelatinous cube that had a beef with Katura.
I will have my vengeance.
Yeah, I had so much fun. Like, just that one was just, oh man,
oh man,
I'm patting myself on the back for that one.
Okay, I need to change my answer about my favorite thing I had to plan. Me and Kyle and the Changeling Kid. That was so fucking fun. Okay, so Kyle couldn't be in a session, and so we T-posed him, and I went, I'm about to put them in a book called On the Discovery of Changelings, and I wanted potentially to give them a bunch of opportunities. Chris was so mad at us. And I thought I had overplayed my hand trying to think of when in that episode to have Harland separate off enough to be switched. And Alora came up with the Changeling Kid. That was an NPC from Alora. And then I went, Kyle, what would you think if you were playing a different character?
Literally, like, that was like, Kyle, I have something that I need to run past you, and I was like, I'm on board. Like, I was just, I knew that something was coming down the pipe.
Mm-hmm. But you played it so well. It was so beautiful. You had little tidbits of information. You did a really good job with her not knowing anything about the situation or the people, and yet still trying to interact with everybody. That was really good. That was one of my...
The random chaos that would happen around her, and she's like, what the is happening? What is going on? Like, this is more than I bargained for.
Mm-hmm. You guys are fucking weird. It was so good. That whole episode just destroyed me. I will say that everybody has had beautiful moments that have utterly wrecked me in terms of how absurd they were. But I really think I was crying laughing as Chris tried to pass Harlan off as a Make-A-Wish kid. I was legit.
I forgot about that.
I was legit cry laughing when I don't remember what the chef said. He said, "Oh yeah, when you grow." Oh, it fucking was terrible. And yeah, I think that whole sequence was so bizarre. Yeah, I just adored it.
That was our beach episode.
Yeah,
that was our beach episode.
In the private chat, I gotta say, a lot of us were like, "Oh my god, we're going to hell."
Yep, we're going to hell. Yeah, I think that was probably one of my. Yeah, we did clip it. It's somewhere. I don't think I have the clip. We have the episode. Somewhere. We have the episode, but we don't have the clip probably. Because it's beautiful, Chris. You had everybody, I would say this, every single one of you had great moments in the show. Incredible sense of timing. You guys are really respectful of each other on screen. We got Diet Coke all over Lane's laptop because of that. But I am eternally amused by just watching you guys do stuff. I never feel funnier than when I'm with you guys. Like, I feel like we all riff off each other incredibly well, and I adore playing with all of you.
Yeah, I have to agree, and I think we're all willing to push it just that little bit extra to see what we can get out of it. And sometimes it's not even like verbal jokes. I will be perfectly honest, when I created Beza, I was not planning on having her go giant size and run someone off the top of a building.
It's good. Good stuff. It's good. Good instinct.
It worked.
Okay, let's see. Okay, if you could pick one ability from another character for your own, what would you pick? I will say NPC or PC that you have seen them do.
Are we talking like in real life or for our character?
I think if there was something you could do, I don't know. You could answer both.
Okay. I mean, for Beza, I think it would be Vilain's ability to shapeshift. Even if not quite as much as him, just his ability to shapeshift to something else, because one thing that Beza has noticed as we've traveled and not been in the book anymore is she does not blend in. Like, she does not blend in at all. So the ability to change and not make herself look quite so distinct would have been helpful on a few occasions. I don't know about for myself.
That's okay. I will say, if you guys had ended up anywhere in like the Underdark or something, she might have had a chance to blend in a bit more, because I always like the idea of deep creatures being really pale. So that probably would have been like the deep dwarves, the deep gnomes would have been almost translucent, and you would have blended in a lot better. So yeah. Oliet, that is so, or Chris, that is, or no. That's Tessa. That is so hard. Is Oliet's confidence something that I can have in real life? It's true. She is kind of a boss bitch. I think I agree with Chris. Chris, I love Heartland's wild magic stuff, but I love Amadine's abilities too. Being able to make stuff.
Those are good.
That's pretty rad. So in case anyone hadn't caught on, a whole bunch of the NPCs that got brought into this campaign are the PCs of some of my other players. So, whole bunch of characters got brought in with, like, some of them were little walk-on roles. I just want to be the Baba Yaga. Fair. Her Majesty of Beauty. I think I love her, like, her Aurora Borealis ability is really beautiful. But yeah, so let me think. A whole bunch of characters had like little offshoot, like one-off roles. Let's see, Ander. Ander is the guy from the pumpkin patch who was just putting a raft down the river. It was the smallest cameo. Then Ravenovia showed up, and you all just melted. So I knew they had to come back again. Ravenovia and Kushiel. Gonk. I had forgotten we brought Gonk in.
Gonk was great.
Gonk, just so you all know, we ended his storyline in our campaign. Gonk had a big, almost Grog-like thing where he was taking the throne back from his younger brother, who had taken the place in his tribe, and it was a super dramatic, amazing thing. It was the first session I killed someone. It's the first session I've ever killed a player, and it had a res ritual and everything. It was so good. Oh my god. But yeah, Gonk is no more. He is now Zoxar. That's his original name. Because his name was Gonk, apparently, because it was the sound that it got made when he got bonked in the back of the head by his younger brother. Gonk. It was terrible.
Oh God.
Amadine. Amadine's another one. Amadine and Ravenovia, I mean, they're both Lane's characters, but they fit so well with the bard and art and literature vibes that were going on in the game that they just ended up being a really fun introduction. I just love this idea of Ravenovia being this super badass, just disaffected character that just kind of wanders in, fixes things, and wanders out.
As far as powers are concerned, I think if I, Kyle, were to have any of the abilities of an NPC or one of the other PCs, I grew up in the Mist era, so the ability to create worlds in which you could live and travel has always been like just a really cool idea for me. So like, I would love to have the Lord of Tales abilities to create worlds. You know,
just don't be an asshole about it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Don't like write your own fanfic, you know, of the ladies that turned you down. That's gross. Don't be gross. Don't be gross.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, the ability to create worlds.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
I have to
incredible.
agree.
You know, and I do, like, as our patrons have learned, and I got off the wagon for doing that, like writing Harlan's journals. You know, I do write things myself, so it's like just that idea is super cool.
They were great though. The pieces you have are very, very good. Let me see. Okay, I reinstated. I forgot to turn on the stretch, hydrate, posture check, and we do have Pass the Peanut tonight. We decided that Pass the Peanut was going to be, if you decide to pass the peanut, it will, that person gets to ask a question. In the meantime, let's see. What else we have? What other queen would you have chosen for your character to mentor under in the book? Any other? Some of you were a little torn on some of them, but like even if you weren't torn, which queens do you think would have been really fun to have tutored under? Beauty?
Hands down. Yeah, Beauty was my second choice.
Tessa says Queen of the Trade.
I don't know who I would have chosen for Beza.
I could have seen her going with like the Vine. I could have seen her doing that. Or maybe I could have seen that.
Could maybe see her also have if the plotline had ended up being more like what was originally planned, I could have seen her following Oliette to Queen of the Word.
Sure, and that was completely legit if you'd wanted to train with more than one. I did want to give you guys all special moments and relationships, but I wouldn't have said no. Chris, Beauty or Folk would have probably worked for O, but it's always been one woman for me. I mean, Her Majesty of the Word has always been a little voice in Oliette's ear, so. That was, okay. A couple of other fun little surprises that happened over the course of the campaign that I really enjoyed. Oliette hearing the voice for the first time was very fun. When the narration started. Yes, the concussion, quote unquote. What else was good? The changeling that we talked about with Kyle. The actual removing of Verlaine from the situation. I think one of my favorite sections of the story, at least in the early campaign, was going through Verlaine disconnecting with all of you. That little, we went through each of you and like something you did to bond with him, but then I kept bringing it back to then eventually he would he would back off and disconnect. I think even not being 100% sure in the moment what had happened to him, or what was happening, and I'm still really vague about what was happening because I'm not interested in delving really explicitly into abuse storylines, but yeah, the idea of just that emotional disconnect that happened, and each of you seeing it, that really hurt.
Think on that, it was my knee-jerk reaction as a human being is to like push forward as like, hey, like reach out, you know, like actually like be a friend. So like,
thank you for being
which if you are trying too hard, or you are perceived as trying too hard, it can force people away. And so I think that's how Harlan would have interpreted it, as like, oh,
he's being too much.
I'm trying too hard, which means that I just need to give him his space. Like, so it's, yeah. I think I just answered your question, Laura.
Oh, what is a headcanon you've created for your character?
I don't know if I have one for Beza.
This pretty much like what you see is what you get. But even then, I feel like even if it was anything that just like we made a joke. I don't know if it was actually what happened, but the idea of if Beza showing up and Sir Tuskendale not knowing she was alive and just started crying.
Yeah. I don't know, honestly. Beza is a pretty straightforward character. I tend to not make super detailed backstories, and sometimes I purposely leave gaps in my backstories because then I just like toss it at the DM, like, here, have fun.
I always appreciate those.
So I don't usually end up creating too many backstory ideas or like headcanon ideas for my characters necessarily.
They sort of live on screen for you.
Yeah. And in my extensive notes.
Headcanon for me, which isn't really headcanon, it's just subtext. Something that didn't really, I think it got across on screen, but Verlaine was really into Oliette. Like, he was processing a lot after he came back to the group. He didn't say a lot of it. They had that little conversation in her room back in Uncle Eb's place, but he was that idea of because I think we talked about what the secret thing that he gave to the secret he gave to the ferryman was, that he lied to Oliette when he said he was over it. And that we talked about that. Yeah, and that he was still in love with her. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. An unexpected storyline for Oliette is that she doesn't know who her father is, and I think after finding her grandfather and getting Ebb to safety, she's no longer looking. I almost had Oliette search for him in the archive instead of the Lord of Tales. Oh, and I guess the other reason it came up was the rose that Verlaine gave to Oliette in Rose Upon the River. That was the other big one. Like, he was trying to make a gesture. And it just wasn't a good time. That says, headcanon. Haru has dabbled in scary shit. She has zero qualms about essentially cordyceps fungus raising the dead, and she does not share that with her friends or family.
It's just new mushroom friends.
Yeah. Mushroom friends with opposable fingers. It's great. They can help her with her knitting.
I mean, she's got to make the new school outfits for the kittens.
I mean, yeah. they're past school aged. I'm trying to think of if there were any. I mean, headcanon sort of turned into canon for me when I realized I was going to age up the kittens. That Toshi was going to become an artificer. I thought that was a really cute idea. Like, he didn't have much storyline besides being a little food gremlin. Yeah, and he didn't have much story beyond that. And I thought it would be really cute to give him that little tinkering bug, like that he liked. Like, he had a mind. He just didn't use it really.
Well, you dropped that early in when like the train broke on the outside of the city. Right, when we got out the city, like, he like stayed behind to like.
That was more me getting him out of the scene, but sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, the idea that he was helping out. Ooh, Tessa, headcanon that Paru spent time finding folks who messed with her family and made sure they could no longer bother anyone. You mean like when she left, like the people who sort of belittled her family for getting rid of her? I like to imagine that Eb starts a bookshop in Mythgar and that Jacqueline walks into the ocean and never comes back. So I guess Chris has already answered one of Alora's questions, which is, who was your least favorite NPC? See, here's the thing. I take least favorite NPC to not mean that I did a bad job. It just means that I have elicited such a potent reaction about a character. I won't answer for anyone, but I do feel like Manny is on that list for Heather. Who's the NPC that you love to hate? We'll call that your least favorite NPC.
That's more what it is. Like I was hesitating to say he was my least favorite because that's not really fair. Like, he is.
No, like I said, I don't take least favorite. I'm gonna twist the question, and I don't think it's least favorite. I think it is which NPC do you love to hate?
I think for Beza, it would be Manny.
Okay.
For me as a player, probably a tie between Lord of Tales and Queen of the Trade.
Okay. Sure.
Because the Lord of Tales is a douche, but
he's an utter douche. He's evil. I didn't want, like, there is a time and place for morally complex villains, and I usually pepper those in as the sub-villains. The mini bosses are the ones that are morally complex. What about you, Kyle? Any NPCs you love to hate? Or
no.
Harlan's such a heart in his sleeve guy.
Yeah.
I think Harlan would like, sit down for a cup of tea with Lord of Tales. Like, I think because he's like, hey, if you're being hospitable, at least I might give you an ear, right? And so it's, I just think that's how he is.
I feel like the one person that Harlan got close to disliking, or at least being very cautious about, was What's-Her-Face from the cult. Like, I feel like you were questioning her motives. That was someone you were like, I don't know what you're doing with these people.
It's like you're power hungry. Like, I don't know about that. It's like, if you're in it for these people, or it's like, because like it was a harmless fan club, and then you whipped them up into a froth. Like, that's
they're a church now.
Yeah.
I thought of someone, Misery.
I was waiting. Who was gonna bring up Misery?
Love to hate Misery.
Misery.
And I think that goes for Beza and for Heather.
What's great about Misery is a horrible dark AU version of a character that totally got a redemption arc. So this is like, what would happen if this character never had the redemption arc, didn't have a beautiful Jason Momoa to fall in love with, and started a government?
I know who Kyle loves to hate.
Who does Kyle love to hate?
The Authority, the Chronogram Authority.
Oh, like, the Mechanist Authority.
The Mechanist Authority. I am just like, there are no redeeming qualities to these dipshits. Like, it's just, oh my god, the fact that like they want to impose their will in order to control something that they view as less than. It's like,
well, not even just less than, but like distinctly antithetical to their existence. It is wrong. And obviously someone outside of those two huge, like, conflicting forces of chaos and order, outside of those, you can see that there's a time and place for either, but the things that exist in those realms do not. They are the essence of chaos or the essence of order, and they are by their complete, by their very nature, in conflict with each other. So that's not something. They're never going to get along. They're going to try to annihilate each other.
Yeah, the Mechanist Authority, though, especially the ones Bezos had to talk to twice.
I find them I don't find them as disturbing as like was brought up earlier, the ones who are experimenting on people. The ones who are surveilling people. I felt so bad about Rose Upon the River. At the same time, I loved the pod people. I think that was a great... that's another one I was really excited. You can tell I was really excited to plan that one because I made a whole layout for it. and a whole music cue for it. And God, I was so excited at that idea. It was really good. All of you really chewed the scenery on that too. It was so silly, but it was also so sad because it was this idea, especially it just makes me think of, Oliette, this idea of this is a life she could have, but they're being kept from it. Like it's not real and there's stuff to do and they can't have it right now. But it doesn't mean they couldn't. It just means they couldn't in the moment.
It's the life that Harlan pretty much came from. So it's like slipping into a slipper for him. You know, It's like, it doesn't feel wrong.
So Retsev just did a thing. Thank you for the donation, Retsev. Here's the thing. Well, here's the thing, Tessa. We can talk. We can debate on who gets Jason Momoa. I'll talk about that at the end of session, or at the end of the episode. I'll talk about what the plan is for for the next immediate future. You get Jason. What are you gonna do? Turn him into a badger? What are you gonna do with him, Tessa? What are you gonna do with Jason Momoa?
Mermaid.
Merman, Heather. Merman. Yup. Okay, I'll allow it. I'll allow it if you make him a merman.
It could. I mean, given where
if you don't make him a merman, I will bring the character that he's based off of into the thing that's going to come in between the sessions or the seasons. So Alora got territorial just then. All right, well, let's see. Let me pull in. Let's see. We have a few more questions. On the subject of Jason Momoa, or at least tangent that makes sense. Bex asked a truly difficult question. Which character or NPC is the most drool-worthy? Who are you thirstiest for? And we're talking you. Who do you think is the most worthy of simping for? I think I know Chris's. We've literally had this conversation on stream. Richard Page. I mean, yeah, he's totally awesome. That is.
I'm not sure. I don't really simp.
But do you understand, I understand. For example, Chris can't handle Ravenovia.
Yes.
Just objectively cannot handle them. Mm-hmm. The step on me energy is great with Ravenovia. Hi, Otter. Bex, I simp for Harlan. To be honest, I love a himbo.
I have such difficulty with that because there's literally everybody's hot in this campaign.
That's my superpower.
That is true.
Everyone is hot.
Chris, I am Polly and Pan IRL. My crushes are unstoppable. You do not have to pick if you want to just pick.
Harlan has bi-wife energy.
It's bi-wife energy. Bi-wife energy.
I'd probably have to say that Kyle simps for the Queen of the Folk.
She's great. Oh,
because she's
so
like
good.
just so personable and like, oh man, I like have a beer with you.
She's
and just
flirty
like,
and playful and
just like it's like could be your best bud. And it's just like, oh man, that she just seems like she'd be a blast to hang around.
Oh hell yeah, no, I definitely think that. I love her.
She's an awesome character.
Yeah, oh my god, Alora Tuskendale would treat me right.
He's a sweetheart, so yeah, he would.
I mean, Tuskendale was the first like run-on gag. Was the every time you even mentioned him being your dad, he just in the distance metaphysically choked up.
Somewhere, somehow, he knew.
Locke's a dad.
He actually went to a doctor. He was just like, I have this thing that continues to occur.
Every time I think of my child. Can't even explain the concept. Tessa Katora Youngtaker. That's because I took her from something. Or rather, actually, if
she
I
was
remember,
your wife.
No. That's not
Wasn't
the point I'm making. That's not the point I'm making.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is I'm pretty sure Tessa paid for her. Tessa, you paid to put her in you. Pimble's amazing.
Pinball is amazing.
Pimble, no, you didn't? Was it Kyle? Somebody paid for Katori Youngtaker. Yeah, I think it was you, Tessa. Come on. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Uh-huh.
She absolutely did.
The turtle. The turtle police. That was another absurd fucking thing. So TR Toys was introduced as an NPC introduction. However, Chris, you blew my fucking mind that scene with just busting out a French accent to compliment his, and it was the stupidest argument. Like, hand in your badge. You're off the case. It was like that bullshit. It was so stupid and hilarious. You're right. Really that was our best. That was our beach episode. Was dealing with the changeling shit. So dumb.
I would agree.
Oh god, it was so good.
I like a bunch of the characters, but like I can't think of a single one. I'm one of those weird people. Like even as a teenager, classmates and stuff were going crazy over. I'm going to age myself right now. Tiger Beat and Teen Beat and all of those stupid teenage magazines that had pictures of like Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Paper? No, I was kidding.
Whoever was hot at the time, according to teenage girls. And my friends would be going crazy over like a random picture of Brad Pitt. And I'm just like, it's a person. Like, meh. Like, I've never cared. So it's just not in my brain to think of them that way. Like, yes, they're attractive and I appreciate the imagery, but like, meh.
Delightful. That's fair. I mean, Bex, I made a character named Leaf, and he was adorable, and so I could definitely see that. Oh no. Alora, okay, I mean, hear me out. Polly, Guy, and Feline, you. Probably eyeing Oliet and Harlan. I said they go out on dates together. Baba Soli was really good. Baba Soli has that like Morticia Adams vibe. I really liked her. Yeah. Let's see. I like Kyle's. Kyle's is really good. But I do want to address the Pimble in the room. Pimble's incredible. All credit for Pimble's origins to Tessa's partner Jinx. He created Pimble. He and I recently touched base over Pimble because I had kind of taken Pimble and ran with him. But I absolutely adore Pimble. I think he is, for how utterly absurd he looks, He very much is my Gilmore at this point. For how utterly absurd he might appear, he is an incredibly deep and fundamentally sad person, which really lends him such interesting contrasts. Also, he does canonically wear amazing heels. He is a short king, and Jinx and I talked about Pimble for a little while because I had decided that the Pimble in my game was a trans man, and Jinx went, yeah, 100%. Like, I thought about that too. So apparently we were both in agreement, and so my Pimble pictures actually do have pink, blue, and white in them. It occurred to me, like, that's his color scheme, so it's pretty great.
Nice. Yeah, I do think, like, I love Pinball as a character, and he's fabulous. I would probably, like, the closest to simping is probably for Pinball, but I can't call it true simping.
You just stand next to him, and it'd be amazing.
I can't call it true simping either, though, because also he was basically my character's brother in the first campaign we played with him, and it was very emotional and things. So I'm like, the brother energy, I'm like, I can't.
It's hard to disconnect. Kyle had a really good question. With that in mind, let me give Kyle Peanut because he earns him. Boop. Hold on, I gotta put him on. Hold on, I gotta put him on your microphone.
Yeah.
Gotta put on something that doesn't move. You move. The microphone doesn't move. You're putting him near himself. It's so weird. Yeah, and in the Might Club campaign, Misery is Pimble's like platonic soulmate. They hang out all the time. They're fabulous, and they could be evil in a different AU. Yes, we will have to have Oliette make an NPC appearance in a game at some point. Chris, I promise. Let's see. What was the other thing that happened? Oh my god, I love Chris's in Chris's headcanon, Oliette pretended to hate it at first but became her best friends in the town. Like Guy and Feline. They're so happy. It's weird. But they're actually like your besties. Let's see. What else we got? Do you think if the characters had met as adults, they would be as close as they are now? I think easy answer to that is no. I think they are very, very different people, and let's be honest, they trauma bonded.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
What happened to them was so fundamentally bizarre and life-changing that really bonded them together forever.
And like in the Feywild, I'm pretty sure that we established that like in Countless Heroes, I think was the first time that I remember interacting with it, is that intention is the biggest part of navigating the Feywild. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's like, hey, I need to go talk to this person that I know I came in here with, that I know that is like real. And so being able to just identify a person that like you've interacted with and touched and know comes from your world, and the ability to travel to them, I think that created that bond. Like, of course is off screen and happened in the interim, but like, the ability to just seek somebody out and find them, or in Verlaine's case, not, wherever he was being absconded off to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and sorry.
That's all I had.
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% agree that our characters trauma bonded, and like in my character's case, the way I had created her, she literally was like a day and a half old when she ended up meeting everyone for the first time. So basically, she was baby.
Beza is baby.
Beza is baby. Beza met people who were nice to her. Baby is now your baby. Like, that's basically what happened. She was like, these people are being nice to me. Everyone else has been dicks. Okay, I like these people.
Just in time for the pizza parlor music.
Let's be honest, Harlan would get along with anybody, and he does even now as an adult. So I think that, yes, Harlan would be friends with anybody that he had encountered. Like, easy. No,
if
no
Oliette
question.
hadn't met Verlaine, Chris says, she wouldn't be who she is now, so it's really hard to even conceptualize that. She would have been Ebb, if slightly more socially adept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Beza would have been able to at least get along in a, like, civil way with all of the other characters. I don't think she would be as close to them, though, if not for the meeting so young and the initial trauma bonding.
And Tessa says, I'd like to think that Paru wouldn't have been broken down by family expectations, but I think she would have been far less open and probably would have been very closed off.
Probably same for Verlaine, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
The book was the most traumatic thing that happened to him, and yet it was also the thing that taught him how to be a better person. It obviously would have been ideal for it not to have happened the way it happened, but so here's the thing. If Verlaine had never gone into the book, he would have just been a trash person. He would have been in and out of the reacclimation centers all the time. He never would have learned anything. He would have just dicked around until he could try to... I don't even know if he would have enough... I don't think he would have cared enough to try to escape. I think he would have just dicked around for his entire life. He's someone who could have had a lot of different trajectories in his existence, but I think that this group in particular, his friends, his experiences with Her Majesty of Beauty, those sort of things, just... they're such a part of his character arc. He's so informed by this campaign that that being outside of it, he would have just been a nothing. He wouldn't have really had any ambition, any empathy, or he might have had empathy, but he wouldn't have had the initiative to do anything about it. Thank you, Chris. Oliette lives forever in Goonies lore, so if Tessa needs her for a scene, I have no issue with that. Amazing. Aw, listen, I love fantasy love, so I like to think that Oliette and Harlan would have become friendly, if nothing else. I think that's great.
But, like, it's funny because, like, now it just occurred to me to think that, you know, I had the headcanon of, like, Harlan had never been in an established relationship.
Mm-hmm.
He had always been very, like, hey, you know, we're gonna, this is fun, but this is it, you know, and just because he kept moving on. He was a rambling man.
Was a rambling man.
Yeah.
Harlan was a
like,
rolling stone.
Yeah, like, had he not had the established friendships with the PCs, like, from childhood, like, it's tough. Like, it's tough to think that, like, he would be it would even occur to him to have a longer term relationship. I'm sure eventually it would, just because furbolgs live for fucking ever. But, like, I don't know. I can't separate Harlan from the events that have happened in the campaign. Like,
yeah,
Harlan's Harlan.
Oh no. Alora asks, what would your character's favorite movie genre be if they existed? Well, I'm gonna say movies exist, but what would be your character's favorite movie genre?
Action.
Action. I feel like Harlan would dig Coen Brothers movies.
Yeah, I think so. Like, movies that's, like, really made you think.
The one that really makes him, like, connect, though, is Oh Brother Where Art Thou. That's the one he really gets. He gets that one on a fundamental level.
Those pretty ladies called those people down to the river, and they just went, and then they turned that man into a frog, and then he didn't.
Harlan just is a character from Oh Brother Where Art Thou. Oh my god. Okay, Tessa had something to share. Paru was born partially out of my own experience as an adoptee, being part of a family that loves me, but I don't ever feel like I quite fit in perfectly. I didn't mean to explore the parallels between Paru's experiences and my own when I created her. I think Paru outliving her family, given the difference in Nakosta and Goblin lifestyles, would have really messed her up. Chris. Movies. You mean books, but worse?
I like that. Tessa says Paru would watch nature documentaries.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And then she would be upset and cry when things died, probably, but also understand why it happened. I do have to say, like, Tessa's comment just now about, like, Paru and her experiences did make me think earlier when we were talking about headcanons. I couldn't think of anything. I do sort of headcanon. I mean, it's not probably going to happen unless we do epilogue style at the last session.
I'm intending for there to be a little bit of an epilogue.
Okay. I definitely headcanon that Beza's going to be a fucking mess as everyone else starts dying and she as a Goa continues to live on, unaging and unchanging.
Yeah. You think Beza would go seek out other Goa? Like, fuck you, Manny, and just keep trying to find other Goa?
I don't know.
Well, as long as Harlan's around, I think that
that's
there'd
true.
be that,
Harlan would
that,
be around
that tie, you know. But like, even he wouldn't last as long as Beza's going to last.
No, because for anyone who hasn't looked up Goa in our world anvil and everything, they are living constructs made of literal magic stone. So they basically will continue living until they give up living.
Well, it's I have it written on the thing that their lifespan is as long as their sculpt lasts. So by its very nature, it's not like immortal stone. It will wear and will degrade after a while. So they basically live for as long as the stone lives, but erosion is a slow process if you're not just in a river.
And there's very much a ship of Theseus element to the Goa, where it's like, I don't think we ever fully explored it in Countless Heroes, but one of my prequel characters was Rio. And like Rio got a small piece of an ancient Goa and ate it and basically absorbed that Goa's memories. So it's basically like a live on, like if you've read the Live Ship Traders series by Robin Hobb, it's the special type of wood that they carve and it into ships. Like it basically is entirely, the ship is carved out of this special wood, and 3 generations of this specific family have to live aboard the ship. And when the 3rd generation dies, their successor inherits a living ship. It's literally alive with the memories of their ancestors. So it's like, it gives me this very like, you know, even as Goa begin to age and weather, like as long as there is a piece of them, as long as they hold on to whatever makes them them, like they could become part of another Goa. Like eventually, that it's basically that they just continue on.
You have to meet other Goa and find someone to pass your memories to, but yeah, it's potentially possible.
Here, I got a toe. Enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I will say for anyone who wants, Last Survivor pain, if you want to go watch the finale of Countless Heroes,
don't do it.
Or if you want more Goa pain, I have a couple of episodes you could watch. The one that really hurts me is like legit made me cry during session was my Goa Syl coming to grips with the fact that she couldn't make peace with these new Goa that showed up. And she was just like heartbroken and I was crying. I was just like, I'm not okay. I'm gonna put Chris on blast because god damn it. Not this question, but Chris, think it's tragic that Oliette will die first, but she loves it. Everyone knows that it's always the cool people who leave the party first. I hate it. Ow. God damn.
Tessa and Lane are both yelling at me about not watching the last episode of Countless Heroes.
And apparently I killed Tessa with sniffs. I knew I had made a mistake. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a secret. I knew that I had made a mistake with sniffs because Tessa started sobbing, and I went, oh no, what have I done? And so I went, nope, he can make copies. And which is something I thought made sense in the moment, that he could. Well, it even happened in character that Sniffs was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, I did a horrible thing now. Because this idea of him ascending into some higher stage of existence, but still knowing her, still loving her, still being there, was the intention, is that he lived on to serve a greater purpose, and yet could still sort of connect with her. But I didn't realize how connected Tessa was going to be to the idea of Sniffs as an individual rather than like connected to the greater mind of the Myconids. I was like, oh, I made a mistake. Let's see if there are any other questions.
Chris asked one, if there's any parallels between us and our PCs or us and our characters.
Laura decided to hurt me in DMs with a headcanon.
I mean, I'll start with the parallels one. Yes. We have this thing in our friend group called 2 a.m. Heather.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, when I'm tired or when my filter's gone, I become Beza when she's like, oh, let's just go fucking kill the thing. So, except usually it's verbally and not physically in real life.
Except I have heard Heather talk about how easy it is to dispose of a body.
When your friends are in the medical field.
Yeah.
You learn a bunch of stuff about things, and you learn a bunch of stuff about people.
Yeah. Yeah, so most of the time I think I'm fairly nice, I'm friendly, I'm extroverted, I'm outgoing, and then something happens and I start talking about these things like, oh, you know, if you're fighting someone and all you have is X, Y, and Z, then you just do this, and then you'll tear this, you'll break that, and then they can't move, and then you can run away.
Anyway, so...
Yeah.
It's delightful.
What about you, Kyle? Any parallels with Harland? I like to think you're both very good storytellers. You have a penchant for it.
Yeah, I do. When my nieces and nephews demand that I read them bedtime stories because all of the characters have different voices. Yeah, so that's I caught into that. I'm trying to think. This is like, because I mean, there's always an element of you in your character.
Well, because you're informing your decisions. So
Exactly.
There's going to be a bit of your humor. There's going to be a bit of your sensibilities to something, even if you're playing something very off type for you.
And like, I have said this in previous, like, for the previous seasons and whatnot. I played in the original campaign that brought Nerdsmith together. I played me. I basically played me, and it broke me when that campaign ended. I lost a part of myself, and you know that old like really, really crappy chick track pamphlet that they hand out where it's like, hey, don't get into D&D, but Jesus is cool, type thing, where it's like this girl's character dies and so she commits suicide.
Yeah, I had that. I had that.
Like, real bad.
I had that in a drawing horror monsters book.
Yeah.
It was that comic.
I thought about that. Not that I was gonna kill myself, but like I thought about that track, and I was just like, oh, they weren't joking. Like there
But like they
actually
didn't mean it
is
the
this,
way
like,
that they meant it. You know?
Yeah, but it's like, but it like I can actually see the validity of that, and so I have always since then had this layer of separation between myself and my characters. I will never go that deep into a character again, ever. Like, it's not mentally healthy for me. Which is why
you have to make decisions that are important.
After that was, Pip. You know, Merrick was different, but Pip was like my breath of fresh air.
He was all of our breath of.
Yeah, he was great.
Pip is Pip.
Pip is Pip.
Miraculous.
I just read the introduction to the Nerdsmith cookbook again. It was a piece of brilliant writing on Pip's part.
It was very good. We should have Pip do the audiobook version of the cookbook.
Oh my
Pip
god.
For accessibility.
May have already started recording the audio version of the cookbook.
Of course Pip has. Of course.
Nice.
Let me think. Yeah, Chris has a good point. I've played one character very much like me, and it's exhausting. Now I just give them a few little pieces. And that's, I think that's both the safest and some of the most interesting ways to play, because you don't know things about, like, you learn things about yourself by exploring little pieces.
It's a safe place to explore ideas that you wouldn't normally be able to explore.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, how would Kyle do this is different from how would Harlan behave if presented with the situation. Very different, like, reactions, but it's still part of me, you know?
Yeah, there's a level of, there's also a level of, maybe not wish fulfillment's the wrong word, but by placing yourself in another person's shoes and working out a situation, sometimes it can provide you with, like, insights into the kinds of things you wish you could do, or the kind of person you want to be in a certain situation. So, like,
it's almost like
go ahead.
Use role-playing as therapy.
Huh. So insightful. Anyway, it's a great point. There were some moments that I don't know if I connected because of a part of me, or if I just got so empathetic with one of the NPCs that I just kind of lost myself in it. There was a moment for Verlaine around the time when we were dealing very strongly with him processing his trauma that I legit was, like, on the verge of tears a couple times. And I don't know if that was anything to do with me, or if it was just me having lived in Verlaine's head for so long and now being able to tell you all what was happening to him. And him being able to share that for the first time. I think that catharsis really hit me. And it was very unexpected in the moment. I did not expect to get that choked up over it. And it was a lot, but I think it really gave him a lot of depth in a way that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of this resonating with people.
Yeah.
You know, Lane talking about Amadine and Ravenovia, expressions of specific parts of me to an extreme compared to me as an actual person, but in playing them, they develop their own unique personalities. Tessa's, my first Goonies character, Bonnie, was very much me, and storyline of the campaign, it ended up revolving heavily around her own issues, and it was a difficult combination. Try not to do that as much. Yeah, it's tough when you insert so much of yourself into a character.
Yeah.
Or when you live in that headspace. I mean, case in point, you look at, like, Heath Ledger, who was a consummate actor, but he lived in a dark headspace, and it was just, I will never ascribe anything to him, but, like, when you live in a character's headspace, it's easy to get stuck in that. And you know, I have absolute empathy towards that because of what happened to me too.
And that's one of the reasons why, I mean, I didn't do it so much towards the end of the campaign, but we did start out with it, doing a lot of decompression after the sessions. And that's something I want to try to keep doing. I think as the party as a party gets more used to each other, as players get more comfortable with each other, it is important to still do that, but I think it's less required for it to be formal, because I think sometimes players naturally fall into that habit of wanting to decompress with each other and talk things out. So I don't have a lot of I would have liked to have continued doing it, but I think we just didn't at a certain point. Chris, I have to say, since we're getting all sappy and nostalgic, Angela did a wonderful job bringing the NPCs to life. When I put Verlaine together or created Ebb, I just had no idea you were going to bring it so hard. They're so real for me, and I really appreciate that. Ebb is an interesting one. Ebb is so soft. There is something about him, and I will say, Chris, just to sing your praises a little bit too, the little detail that you added, which was when they speak in Infernal to each other, the accent shift was so good and was so really lovely to then have. You got that glimpse into the old Oliette. Like the Valley Girl affectation was gone, the Mean Girl affectation was gone, and she actually sounded like she used to, and it really not only that, but I think it gave Ebb more confidence. Like, he might be slightly more confident when he's speaking Infernal. I think he wasn't as like hesitant. We talked about Ebb, and I hope I did justice to this. We talked about Ebb being on the autism spectrum slightly, and we based him a little bit off of Abed from Community, a little, and I just really value him as a character. He's just wonderful, and I really just I just adore that as a character. I'm really glad we were able to bring him in and as recurring as we were able to do so. I will say this: you can't always remain consistent, and I, as Chris has so generously said, described me as a very yes and DM. I'm never gonna yuck someone's yums when it comes to what they headcanon a language to sound like. So in 2 distinct games now, I have Infernal sounding like a proper British accent, or Infernal sounding like a French accent. So it doesn't... I'm okay with either, but the idea is whatever facilitates a player feeling the dialects being distinct. If they want to explore that in roleplay, I'm 100% down for whatever language you want to use. Though I am still attached to the idea of elf being French because they're snooty, elvish vegetarian restaurants. Let's see. Laura, you're an absolute sweetheart. That was very nice of you to say in chat. I, as a DM who loves to play, I love NPCs, and so I put a lot of effort into them. I really love playing different characters, so is it because I'm a hog who loves to be in every scene? Maybe. But I also love giving everybody spotlight moments, so I hope I'm not too
ADHD
bad.
brain, constant distractions. Playing different people all the time.
Don't call me out. Let's see. Did we have any other questions that have been written out? If anyone has any other questions for us, please put it in chat. We will check them out. Let's see.
Did you say you had one from Allura?
Let me see. No, Allura attacked me, is what happened. You know what? I don't care. I'm gonna do it on camera. Because Allura called me out, I get to call her out. Allura DM'd me and said, Verlaine to Oliette, if she died young, quote, "You're not allowed to go yet, sunshine. I can't live in the dark." Fuck off, Allura. You may fuck off.
Ow.
Anyway.
Why?
Because she wanted to hurt me, because I said, I don't remember what I said. I don't remember what facilitated that comment. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Okay, so let's do a real quick here's where we are thing. So next week is our finale. Where we are right now is the group is making their way into the library, deeper into the library. And Ravenovia, who they encountered because Ravenovia is a fucking superhero, is going to lead them to where they think the Her Majesty of the Trade is. They have made some sort of assessment that the Lord of Tales, being a petty bitch, would like to just use the chaos energy, which is pure creation, the idea of wild magic creating things that don't exist, and throwing the original book, which was one of his crowning achievements, into the chaos bed, basically. And they've determined that, doesn't he realize that would probably destroy him? And Verlaine realized that maybe he's not doing it himself. Maybe the person he created to adore him and do anything he asked would do it. And so in this moment of very sick empathy for a woman who literally made his life a hell, you guys are going to go try to stop Her Majesty of the Trade, who is looking for the book to do something on Merton Shaw's behalf, because he's a fucking coward. So that's where we are. Can't imagine anything having to do with the volcanoes, Heather. I don't know. That was a weird comment you made about just hanging out under the continent. I don't know what happened. I did see we had another question.
We had two, actually.
Two.
Retzev asked, when does the next season
I will
start?
answer that as the second question. And then Chris, if these PCs were pre-gen, which would have been your second choice? Like, if you couldn't play your own, whose other character would you have chosen?
Tessa said Harland. And I answered in chat because I wasn't sure if we were coming back to the questions. I think I would have probably grabbed Oliette.
What you got?
Paru.
Yeah.
I think. Have I ever actually rocked a druid? I haven't.
I think that's your next assignment, Kyle. Should you choose to accept it. You know someone that I've never seen you play, and maybe it's just because you don't gravitate towards this as a storyline. Kyle, I've never seen you play a character who has an animal companion. Like a partner. I don't think I've never seen you play a character like that. A mount is one thing, like a late stage getting a steed is one thing, but an actual partner.
Yeah, the A-list doesn't count.
Yeah.
I think you're right, because I can't think of one either.
Yeah.
At least not in any campaigns I've played in.
So my premise to you would be either a ranger or a druid with an animal companion, like the wildfire druid. I loved how Heather played in the second season of Goonies with hers. The idea of having this. I have another person playing a wildfire druid who has a Almirage, which is the bunny with the unicorn horn, but we statted him out like a jackalope. And he's basically Radagast the Brown. He has a sled, and the jackalope has a harness of super strength or something that we gave him, so he can pull the carriage around, but he can turn into a fire jackalope. It's really great.
It's funny you say that, with the animal companion thing, because my World of Warcraft character was a hunter.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's I don't know, maybe I got my fix from playing that for years.
Druids are still really rad, and there's a great variety. So, second question for Retzev. When is the next campaign? So, here's the deal. Currently, we have plans for the next season of Goonies to start probably. I'm with Tessa. Probably late April, maybe. Tessa and I will talk about it. Tessa is going to be the GM for that season. I'm very excited about it. God damn it, Retsa. The plan currently, and this is literally from today's conversations, is that we're gonna run a mini campaign, and I mean mini. Maybe I'll put her up. Hold on.
Oh shit, that's right. Because we do have our characters.
We do have we have a couple characters. But we're gonna play a mini campaign, and I'm going to. You are always part of the Goonies family, Chris. You are always part of the Nerdsmith family. If you ever have a Thursday off, let us know, because we're running mini campaigns all the time with Nerdsmith Presents, and we would kill to have you back on the shows. You're always welcome.
As a player or as a
DM as well. If you want to get your feet wet, go for it. We love you very, very much, Chris. But I'll be running a mini campaign. It'll be a few weeks just to kind of fill in the blanks between seasons 3 and 4. And we're still working out who's going to play in it. But I am going to run a poll, I think, about what the idea people might like to see for a mini campaign. I've got 3 concepts that I think would be really fun to play in a mini campaign. So we'll do actually, let me see. This might be something we can do right now if I remember how to do it. New poll. What should the mini Goonies campaign be? I'm gonna explain them, and then we will do them.
Yeah, after explaining them.
Yeah, I'll do the poll after. But it is... Oh, right. Okay, so here are the ideas. We were literally, Heather's right. We were literally trying to think about ways to be like, how do we keep Chris around? How do we keep her around?
We were in the Nerdsmith directors meeting on Sunday going like,
what do we do?
This? We should ask Chris about this. I want Chris to stay around.
Yeah, what should we do? Okay, so here is the ideas. Number 1, a game I've been kicking around for a long time in my head, gentle D&D. The idea of a Ghibli style little campaign, very small town or very small stake, very soft, no combat. Anything that is combat based is not actually fighting, it's some other kind of challenge that you're doing. It's got a little bit of 5e and a little bit of Ryutama mixed in. There's also Bagland, which my Might Club players will know. Bagland is the idea that a wizard made a bunch of bags of holding, and they're all connected, and they're called gated bags of holding. But because of that, a dimension was created between them that is the gates of holding, the place between the bags of holding where things sometimes slip through. And it would be in this like sort of weird, piratey, sort of on the fringes, almost like slightly Mad Max, but in a void.
Socks.
Yeah, it's a Mad Max, but in the void of junk kind of thing, where you'd play a bunch of chuckle fucks who fell through a bag of holding for some reason. So you'd be a bunch of idiots.
Someone pulled their portable hole out of their pocket while they were in a bag of holding.
Yeah, basically. So Bag World. And then the last one is Candyland, which is from my husband, Andy, who has been putting together a ridiculous storyline of candy stuff. And it's all puns, and it's stupid, and it's amazing, and it'd be silly, silly, silly. So those are my 3 ideas. Bag World, Gentle D&D, and Candyland. And I can throw those together pretty quick, but those would be the premise for one of the mini campaigns. So if anyone has an opinion, I will be putting the poll in the chat. I think I gave you I think you have I think you can vote more than once. If not, I apologize. but we'll find out. I will take your suggestions under advisement. Right. Then let's see.
Oh, you can vote more than once apparently with channel points.
Oh, you can. You can.
It only costs 1 channel point.
It's true.
Probably all our current viewers have plenty of.
That's true. We'll just have you guys battle it out. Kind of fun. Okay, so let's see. What else do we... Oh, that was the other thing. So, the other thing. We are planning the next season of Goonies. And this is all the fault of the fact that I found a picture. It made me very happy. And because of that, I couldn't get it out of my head. So, Tessa, Tessa is running a game that takes place on Lamina Island, which is the island that is in the home world, basically, of the Faroche and the Chitin. And I came up with my character already, and I'm very excited for you to meet her. Hold on. Her name is Wilhelmina, and I'm very excited to play her.
I'm making this full screen so I can see.
I am so excited.
Yep, yeah. She's cute.
Wilhelmina is gonna be a bard. You can tell because she has an accordion, and I'm very excited about it. Anyway, so she's delightful, and I can't wait. Heather, did you have your character? You want to send me the link?
I think I sent it to you in our DMs.
God, Retsev. Sorry, I have to get into her headspace. That is 100% what she would say.
Yes.
Yeah, that's 100% what she would say. Yeah, I just want to play. Here's the thing. Just for a little preview for everybody, I just want to play a character, especially with the potential of us bringing in new players. I want to play a character who is entirely committed to singing everyone's praises. I want her to be the one that wants to sing about the other people's adventures. So she is like, I want to see you do something cool. And so she's just really, really excited about the idea of heroic odes and just like drinking songs, talking about what other people did. I just want to play a character that literally wants to pass the mic constantly to the other characters.
Will she parody other known songs?
I don't know yet. I haven't decided how committed I want to be to the bit. Because I am
her Weird Al Mina.
Yep. And then Heather came up with the idea for a character based off of a kingfisher, which I'm very excited about her. She's so cute. I'm very it's gonna be exciting. Anyway, I'm very excited for both of our characters. I think they're gonna be fun. And
yeah, I couldn't make her beak long and pointy. They don't have different beaks.
Yet.
But basically, she's based on a female kingfisher, and is a rogue.
I love it.
The idea of a brightly colored jungle bird being a rogue just amused me greatly.
Well,
I mean, Lamina has a lot of jungle, so
yeah. So I'm really excited about whatever Tessa has in store for Lamina Island. Who knows what time period we're dealing with or what reality of Lamina Island we're playing in, but I'm very excited about it. We'll be sampling. Oh my god, this is what happens when you give people channel points. I think we're playing Candyland, y'all.
You didn't see the comment earlier? Chris was like, oh my god, this is great. It's like a slot machine, but you always win.
Yeah, Tessa, we would love a hint if you want to give us a hint about the next campaign. We are, this is Laura calling me out. Angela, I just want to play a character, full stop. So yeah, so we're gonna be doing that. I think, like I said, we're gonna run. Tessa and I are gonna talk about our. We are going pre-outside influence of Lamina. Interesting. I'm not even sure what that means, but we'll find out.
Basically, before any other continents sent adventurers to Lamina, So like when it was just
the
animal
animals
creatures there.
I love it. I'm very excited. So stay tuned. Tessa and I will work out the timing for the next season of Shenanigoons. We'll base it off of what I have planned for Candyland. And oh, Chris, those were the days. Sorry. You just like the idea of that Steven Universe game. That was really fun. Fusion. Man, don't tempt me. I'm thinking Monster of the Week would be a fun system to use for this. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to kind of give a little preview on, you can get to these maps and they're really rough right now. They're not fully done. To give you a sense of what would actually be the map, I will show you, this is the map that I made for my Carnival Cruise game. This is what is gonna look like when I'm done. It's gonna be all with like a tabletop. I'm gonna make the map look really nice as it blends in with that. So it's gonna look really cool, but my intention is for it to look like a book, like an old book. It's gonna be really, really fun. You can find all of those on the World of Vale, so you can find those on our World Anvil. Oh, that's right, Camp Flying Moose. Oh, so good. Anyway, you can find it here on Vale, and the last thing I wanted to show you was that I am also working on the Queensdom map. The green stuff here, I'm working on the idea of it having this like artsy and like illustrated border on it. So I'm putting some pieces together right now. It's still a work in progress. But I do adore this really macabre bullshit with Sigfin and like a literal heart in the vining and stuff. So that'll be a setup for that map when we're done.
I like it.
All right. Oh man. Well,
While y'all talking about your characters.
Yeah.
I have so next week is going to be my last week as a regular cast member of Shenanigoons. I am going to take some time, step down. I just need time to process some stuff. So
taking a break, taking time is 100% valid, my friend. We love you so much.
Gonna miss y'all.
Love you so much, God.
And we love you. We're gonna miss you too.
Well, you're gonna be on Lamina, so Pip can always make a guest appearance. It's
just pre-record some stuff for Tessa.
Yeah.
Pip the first.
Pip the first. Long live Pip. Honestly, I think that might be a good place to wrap for tonight. So we'll make some announcements. I'll work with whoever is gonna play in our mini campaign.
There's last minute voting wars going on.
It's fine. There's a certain point if it's just gonna be the two of them fighting it out. It's like, okay, I'll narrow it down to those two and then I'll decide. Yeah, like I said, I got a little misty during Discover the other night. This is my first campaign that I ran. Like, my very first campaign, and it is not only that, it is also the first campaign that will have an ending. It's not just gonna peter out, it's got an actual trajectory for an ending, and to be able to tell a story from beginning to end, and I must emphasize, getting to level 20 is not how you quote-unquote win D&D. It does not have to be. No campaign has to be from 1 to 20. And I think, to be honest, I could have played this game forever. But I am so grateful that we can play to the story's what I hope is a satisfying conclusion. And that doesn't mean that this world is done. That doesn't mean that even this storyline is done. To be honest, I fully expect the idea of these characters going on to do more at those higher levels. Oh no, someone tipped the scales. But yeah, I think that there is no reason why these characters can't keep going in their own little worlds, and the epilogue is not going to be that be-all end-all. We're just going to give ourselves a glimpse into some of the adventures that our characters get into next. It won't be a full stop. It'll be just a little glimpse into them continuing on. And that feels most honoring of the story, rather than just going to a conclusion. It's like, no. Who the hell knows where this story continues? Because I didn't know from the start where the fuck this story was going. So, I am so grateful for everybody who was here from the beginning or who found us later and then caught up. Anyone who ever donated to the show, whether just to support us or to add a little nonsense into our game. Those of you who have
support the organizations that
or to support the charitable organizations that we were supporting. I will say, Retsev paid $25 to try to get NPCs. That means $25 is going to Texas Relief for the for trans rights. Thank you, Retsev. We adore you. We're so grateful for you. Yeah, everybody watching, everybody who donated and supported us, you are the reason we're still here. You are the reason that this campaign has gone on, and we have had as much fun as we've had. So thank you. And I can't wait to sit somewhere else and play a little game. But more than that, oh, Lane, thank you. More than that, more than getting excited to play the next thing, I'm really excited for next week. Come join us. There'll be tears. There'll be probably coughing up soda. There will be laughs. There will be a lot of wonderful, wonderful things next week. So we will see you here next week, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, for the finale of Shenanigoons, the Book of Faebles. Please check out A Romp Through Ravnica this week. They either are ending this week or they are ending next week with us. I don't remember. But they are teetering very close to their finale, and I feel bad that I don't remember. But if you've logged into, or if you've signed in for any of their games, they're doing the raffle for a set of Magic the Gathering dice. I'm terrible today. Magic the Gathering cards.
There are dice. There are Magic the Gathering dice.
Yes, but that's not what we're giving away. And you are in the raffle if you have entered into any of the nights that they have run Ravnica. So please check out the finale and see how you do. Best of luck to everybody. And yeah, it's a little crazy, but I'm so proud and I love everybody so very, very much. I have nothing but just joy in my chest right now. Oh. All right, everybody. Please be safe. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and a great rest of your week. And we will see you here bright and early at 10 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Oh, thank you, Retsa, for the bits. And, yeah, to be concluded. Mwah. See you around, friends. Do us a favor and be good to each other.